ओम ज्ञानं तिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वरूपं कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं जयगं रघुनाथं तं सजीवं साधुवेतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्ण जयगं ललिता श्रीविशाखावितं च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पार्षदेशिकारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपेकांत राधाकांत नमस्ते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्ण देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जगद्गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। स्वाति माता जी।
हरे कृष्णा।
मुझे
कृष्णा बुक नहीं स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं क्या? कल बोल रहे थे आप।
नहीं, अभी मैंने डिस्कस किया था प्रभु जी से, तो वो अभी मना किए हैं, कह रहे पहले इसे कंटिन्यू करो।
ठीक।
वो कह रहे थे
The gopis had no desire other than
वो बताया कि जैसे सैटरडे को जो लेक्चर होंगे ना, जो क्लासेस होंगी सैटरडे को, तो वो कह रहे थे वो उसमें वो टॉपिक जो है ना वो उसमें कवर करेंगे, जन्म लीला भगवान की, वो सब चीजें।
अच्छा अच्छा।
हाँ जी
अच्छा
जी जी
ठीक है। The gopis had no desire other than to satisfy Krishna. All the gopis tried to satisfy him, including the elder gopis, Yashoda and her friends. And so also did the elderly Gopas like Nand Maharaj and his friends. The boys and the girls of Vrindavan, who were of the same age as Krishna, also tried to satisfy him. Everyone tried to satisfy Krishna, even the cows, the flowers, the fruits, and the water of Vrindavan. This is because everything in Vrindavan is spiritual, nothing.
मेघना माता जी।
Hare Krishna. We should understand the difference between spiritual and material. That which is material has no living symptoms, and that which is spiritual has all living symptoms. Both the trees in the spiritual world and those in the material world are living entities, but in the trees here, the living symptoms are absent. A living human being is a living entity, and the devotee is the spiritual world are also a living entity. But in the human beings who are not Krishna consciousness, the real symptoms of life are absent. Hare Krishna.
Actually, there is no other consciousness but Krishna consciousness, and that consciousness is spiritual. Thus, even while in this material world, if we simply increase our Krishna consciousness, we shall live in the spiritual world. If we live in the temple, we live in the spiritual world. Because the temple, there is no business other than Krishna consciousness. There are so many engagements carried out for Krishna. Those who strictly follow the regulations of Krishna consciousness actually live in the spiritual world, not the material world. We may think we are living in New York, Los Angeles, or elsewhere, but we are actually living in Vaikuntha.
His Grace doesn't have to.
Yes, Prabhuji. It is a question of consciousness. A bug may sit on the same seat with the spiritual master, but because the spiritual master has developed consciousness and the bug does not, they are different. They may be sitting in the same place, but the bug remains as bug, and the spiritual master remains the spiritual master. The position in space may remain the same, just as we remain in the material world or the spiritual world. But if our Krishna consciousness is strong, We are not in the material world. Hare Krishna.
Yes, issue. Yes, issue to
Thus, renunciation by itself, the simple giving up of worldly thing, is not sufficient. Renunciation may be helpful process, but it will not help absolutely. When we increase our attachment for Krishna, our renunciation will be perfect. As we increase attachment for Krishna, attachment for this material world will automatically diminish. Attachment for Krishna and the material world cannot go hand in hand. If a woman is attracted to two men, her husband and her paramour, she cannot maintain her attachment for both. Her attachment will increase for her paramour. Although she may work at her husband's home very nicely, her mind will be attached to her paramour, and she will think, when shall I meet him tonight? In the same way, if we increase our attachment for Krishna, detachment or renunciation for this material world will automatically come. Sorry, world will automatically come. Bhakti paresh pareshanu viraktir anantya cha. Bhagavad Srimad Bhagavat 11.2.42.
thus Kunti Devi prays to Krishna that he may grant her his mercy by which she can become attached to him. We cannot increase our attachment for Krishna without Krishna's mercy. We cannot become devotees without Krishna's mercy. Therefore, we simply have to serve Krishna or by service, or we have to serve Krishna, for by service Krishna is satisfied. Swati Mataji.
Krishna does not require anyone's service, for he is perfect in himself. However, if we give him service wholeheartedly and sincerely, then by his mercy we shall make advancement. Seho mukhe hihi jivadau swam eva sfurati adha. God will reveal himself to us. We cannot see God with our blunt eyes. How then can we see him? Prem Anjana Shurita Bhakti Vilochnenal Santaha Sadev Hirdiyeshu Vilokyanti. Brahm Samhita 5.38. We have to smear our eyes with the ointment of love. Then Krishna will reveal himself. Krishna will actually.
When Dhruva Maharaj was undergoing penance and meditating upon the form of Vishnu within his heart, the Vishnu form suddenly disappeared and his meditation broke. Upon opening his eyes, Dhruva Maharaj immediately saw Vishnu before him. Like Dhruva Maharaj was, he should always think of Krishna, and when we attain perfection, we shall see Krishna before us. This is the process. We should not be too hasty. We should wait for the mature time. For example, it is good to be eager to see Krishna, but we should not become discouraged if we do not see him immediately. If a woman gets married and wants a child immediately, she will be disappointed. If it is not possible to have a child immediately, she must wait. Similarly, we cannot expect that just because we engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, we can see Krishna immediately. But we must have faith that we will see him. We must have faith that because we are engaged in Krishna consciousness, we shall be able to see Krishna face to face. We should not be disappointed. We should simply go on with the Krishna conscious activities, and the time will come when will we see Krishna. But just as Kunti Devi sees him face to face, there is no doubt about this. Hare Krishna.
In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even if one is sometimes found to be somewhat misbehaved, he is to be considered saintly if he engages steadily in the service of Krishna. Sometimes American or Europe devotees may be criticized because they make mistakes and fall short of the system of for worshipping the deity as practiced in India. But still, according to Bhagavad Gita, they must be considered saintly. We must fix our we must fix our minds upon serving Krishna sincerely and seriously. And then, even if there is some mistake, Krishna will excuse it. Rupa Goswami says, Tasmir kenapi upanya manaha Krishna nivasyat. We should first fix our minds upon Krishna, and then the ability to follow the other rules and regulations will automatically follow. In the beginning, we should try our best to fix our minds upon the lotus feet of Krishna, and then everything else will automatically become correct.
Kunti Devi addresses Krishna as Madhupati. Krishna has thousands of names, and the name Madhupati indicates that he killed the demon Madhu. Krishna consciousness is likened to a river, but not an ordinary river. It is like the river Ganges, which is very pure and directly connected to Krishna. Kunti Devi prays that just as the river Ganges flows toward the sea, her attraction will flow incessantly towards Krishna's lotus feet. This is called Ananya Bhakti, unalloyed devotion. So Kunti Devi prays that her attraction for Krishna will flow without hindrance. Hare Krishna.
We're moving to the next chapter 26, enchantment by Krishna's glories. Okay. इशू मैं कंटिन्यू कर लेता हूँ, मेरे बाद आप कर लेना.
जी ब्रो.
श्री कृष्ण सखा वृष्णे रस भवानी ध्रुग राजन्या वंशा धनंद पवर्ग वीर्या गोविंद गोध्वज सुरार्ति हरावतारा योगेश्वर अखिल गुरु भगवान नमस्ते. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief among the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your powers never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distress of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possesses all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Shloka 43. A summary of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is made herein by Srimati Kunti Devi. The Almighty Lord has his eternal transcendental abode, where he is engaged in keeping Surabhi cows. He is served by hundreds and thousands of goddess of fortune. He descends on the material world to reclaim his devotees and to annihilate the disturbing elements in the group of political parties and kings who are supposed to be in charge of administration work. He creates, maintains, and annihilates by his unlimited energies, and still he is always full with prowess and does not deteriorate in potency. The cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees of the Lord are all objects of his special attention because they are very important factors for the general welfare of living beings. Hare Krishna. Yeah, yes, issue 2.
Kunti addresses Lord Krishna as Krishna Sakha because she knows that although Arjun, who is also known as Krishna, is her son, and therefore subordinate to her. Lord Krishna is more intimately related with Krishna than with her. Krishna is also a name of Draupadi. And so the word Krishna Sakha also indicates Lord Krishna's relationship with Draupadi, whom he saved from being insulted when Duryodhana and Karna attempted to strip her naked. Kunti also addresses Lord Krishna as Vrishni Rasbha, the child of the destiny of Vrishni. It was because Krishna appeared in the Vrishni destiny that this dynasty become famous, just as Malaysia and the Malaya Hills become famous because of the sandalwood that grows there.
Yes, Dhananjay Prabhuji.
Kunti Devi also addresses Lord Krishna as the destroyer of the political parties or royal dynasties that disturb the earth. In every monarchy, the king is honored very gorgeously. Why? Since he is a human being and the other citizens are also human beings, why is the king so honored? The Lord is that the king, like the spiritual master, is meant to be representative of God. In the Vedic literature, it is said, Acharyam mama vigyan yan navam manyeta kar hichit. Bhagavatam 11th canto 17th chapter 27th verse. The spiritual master should not be regarded as an ordinary human being. Similarly, a king or president is not to be treated like ordinary human being.
मुझे ऊपर एक चीज समझ नहीं आई इससे पहले वाले पैराग्राफ में जहाँ रेफर किया गया है कृष्ण सखा, कृष्णा को
Consider
कुंती
the
देवी
Lord
बोली है
witness
कृष्ण
of
सखा।
the
हाँ, इसमें दो चीजें बोली आई थिंक कि एक तो अर्जुन को भी कृष्णा बोलते हैं इसीलिए कृष्ण सखा बोला, राइट?
Yes, Mataji.
और द्रौपदी का भी कृष्णा इज ऑल्सो नेम ऑफ द्रौपदी, द्रौपदी का भी नाम, द्रौपदी को भी मतलब कृष्णा बोलते थे।
Krishna is also name of Gopal.
कृष्णा इज ऑल्सो अ नेम ऑफ द्रौपदी, यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है।
माताजी मेरे को आइडिया नहीं है, मे बी द्रौपदी मतलब मे बी ये सिनोनियम्स हो, मतलब एक ही नाम के बहुत सारे मतलब होते हैं, तो द्रौपदी का भी मे बी ये मतलब I don't know.
ठीक है प्रभु जी, या तो एक बार पूछ लेंगे।
पूछ लेंगे।
ठीक है, ठीक है प्रभु जी।
जी माताजी यहाँ से कंटिन्यू करें।
हाँ जी। In the Sanskrit language, the king is also called Naradeva, which means God in human form. His duty is like that of Krishna, as God is the supreme living being in the universe and is the maintainer of all other living beings. The king is the supreme citizen in the state and is responsible for the welfare of all groups.
Just as we are all living beings, Krishna, God, is also a living being. Krishna is not impersonal because we all are individual person, but our knowledge and opulence are limited. The impersonalist cannot adjust to the idea that the supreme, the original, the unlimited cause of everything can also be a person because we are limited and God is unlimited. The Mayavadis or the impersonalists with the poor fund of knowledge think that the God must be impersonal, making a material comparison. They say they say that just as the sky which we think as of unlimited is impersonal, if God is limited, he must also be impersonal.
But that is not the Vedic instruction. The Vedas instruct that God is a person, Krishna is a person, and we are also persons. But the difference is that he is to be worshipped, whereas we are to be worshippers. The king or president is a person, and the citizens are also persons. But the difference is that president or king is an exalted person who should be offered all respect. Hare Krishna.
Now, why should so many persons worship one person? Because one person provides for the other. Eko bahunami vidhati kaman. God is one and we are many, but He is worshipped because He provides for everyone. It is God who provides food and all other necessities of life. We need water, and God has nicely arranged for oceans of water with salt mixed into preserve it all nicely. Then, because we need drinking water, by God's arrangement, the sunshine evaporates the water from the ocean, takes it high in the sky, and then distributes clear, distilled water. So see how God is providing everything that everyone needs. Hare Krishna.
Even in ordinary life, the state has a heating department, lighting department, plumbing department, and so on. Why? Because these are amenities we require. But these arrangements are subordinate. The first arrangement is that of God. It is God who originally supplies heat, light, and water. It is God who supplies the rainwater that fills our well and reservoirs. Therefore, the original supplier is God.
God is an intelligent person who knows that we need heat, light, water, and so on. Without water, we cannot produce food. Even those who eat animals cannot do so without God's arrangement. For the animal also must be provided with grass before one can take it into the slaughterhouse. Thus, it is God who is supplying food, but still we are getting rebellion against it. The word druk means rebellious. Those rascals who are going against the law of God are rebellious.
The king's duty is to act as the representative of Krishna or God. Otherwise, what right does he have to take so much honor from citizens? Monarchy was formerly present in every country, but because the kings rebelled against God and violated his laws, because they tried to usurp the power of God and did not act as his representatives, the monarchies of the world have nearly all disappeared. The kings thought that their kingdoms were their personal property. I have so much property, such a big kingdom, they thought. I am God. I am the Lord of all I survey. But that is not actually the fact. The fact is that everything belongs to God. Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam. Therefore, the representative of God must be very obedient to God, and then his position will be legitimate.
Greedy, self-interested kings are like false spiritual masters who proclaim that they themselves are God. Because such false masters are rebellious, they have no position. The spiritual master is supposed to act not as God, but as the most confidential servant of God by spreading God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasshastre Uttaha. All the Shastras, the Vedic literatures state that the spiritual master is to be honored as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the idea that the spiritual master is as good as God is not bogus. It is stated in the Shastras, and therefore those who are advanced in spiritual life accept his spiritual instruction. Uktastatha bhavyeta eva shruti. Then is the spiritual master as good as God. Kintu prabhurya priya ektasya. The spiritual master is not God, but is the confidential representative of God. The distinction is that between Sevya Bhagwan, he who is worshipped, and Sevaka Bhagwan, he who is the worshipper. The spiritual master is God and Krishna is God, but Krishna is the worshipable God, whereas the spiritual master is the worshipper God.
Okay, so now we can stop here at 7:26. Sorry, 6:26. And before starting with the learning or realizations, there is an announcement that tomorrow is Saturday, and at 6 a.m. we are having our daily, weekly scheduled class. So it is just a reminder. Try to be there, everyone. Hare Krishna. Yes. So we can start. We can start with the learnings. Okay. We can start with the learnings or realization.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, यहाँ पे बोल रहे थे कि first we have to fix mind on Krishna, then even if we commit some mistake, that is also fine. वो थोड़ा elaborate कर सकते हैं क्या?
मतलब मैं समझा नहीं प्रभु जी. वी हैव टू फिक्स आवर माइंड ऑन कृष्णा. अगर कोई गलती करते हैं तो भी कोई बात नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ कह रहे हैं आप?
हाँ, वो समझ में नहीं आ पा रहा थोड़ा.
स्वाति माता जी, आप थोड़ा समझाएंगे, मतलब सीनियर.
मुझे जो समझ आया प्रभु जी, मतलब फिक्स योर माइंड ऑन कृष्णा मीन्स, और भगवान फिर सब कुछ गलती भी करे वो भी माफ कर देते हैं। जिन की अगर हम पूरी तरह कृष्णा को लेके डिवोटेड हैं तो हम सर्विस करने में अगर कुछ मिस्टेक कर भी रहे हैं तो भगवान एक्चुअली भाव देख रहे हैं। तो अगर हमारा भाव सही है करने का तो कुछ हम मिस्टेक्स भी कर रहे हैं तो वो भी हमको भगवान हमें माफ कर देंगे। तो इसमें प्रभुपाद ने जैसे एग्जाम्पल लिया था कि जैसे फॉरेन जो डिवोटीज होते हैं तो कई बार लोग उन्हें बोलते हैं कि वो सर्विस करते हुए इन्होंने तो ऐसे कर दिया और ऐसे कर दिया, मतलब वो प्रॉपरली अगर वो प्रोसेस फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं, या क्योंकि पहले तो इंडिया में ही सब कृष्णा को जानते थे, तो अब सबने कुछ ना कुछ वो सर्विस के स्टैंडर्ड सेट किए हुए हैं, तो वो देख के उन्हें लगता है जो आउटसाइडर है मोस्टली कि वो फॉरेनर्स जो है वो तो अच्छे से सेवा नहीं कर रहे हैं, या यहाँ पे इन्होंने ऐसे कर दिया या कुछ भी मिस्टेक कर दी। तो वही प्रभुपाद बोल रहे थे कि वहाँ भगवान भाव देख रहे हैं, अगर वो प्रेम में जैसे भी सेवा कर रहे हैं उनका माइंड कंप्लीटली फिक्स है, एवरीवेयर दे सी, आई मीन दे एक्चुअली they are trying to serve Krishna in any way, then that is fine, तो भगवान उस चीजों को भी माफ कर देते हैं। This is, I mean, my understanding.
I'm also convinced, Mataji. Yeah. Dhananjay Prabhuji, you want to add?
प्रभु जी इसमें शायद एक सॉरी
हाँ जी प्रभु जी प्लीज।
जी बात जी धनंजय प्रभु आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं?
अच्छा प्रभु जी मुझे कुछ आई नीड टू ड्रॉप इट।
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
No issues.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी स्वाति माता जी के जो पॉइंट्स थे उसमें एक ऐड ऑन करना था, जो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि जो गलतियों को लेके प्रभुपाद बोल रहे हैं इसमें कि you have to fix mind, पता नहीं शायद कनेक्ट कर पाए कि नहीं कर पाए। कल मैं एक लेक्चर सुन रहा था, उसमें जो स्टेजेस होती हैं डिवोशनल सर्विस की, तो उसको भी ऐसे रिलेट किया जा रहा था कि देयर आर डिफरेंट स्टेजेस, जो स्टार्ट होती है श्रद्धा से और जो प्रेम पे खत्म होती है, देयर आर 9 सर्विसेज। तो उन सर्विसेज में कि जो नियोफाइट डिवोटीज रहते हैं, जो दे आर प्रैक्टिसिंग स्टार्टेड प्रैक्टिसिंग, तो द व्हाट वी हैव टू डू, वी हैव टू टेक एवरी स्टेप 9 स्टेप्स वन बाय वन एट अ टाइम। ऐसा नहीं है कि हम सीधा रुचि और निष्ठा पे पहुंच गए, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है। एंड we are we are imitating other senior devotees कि हम वहां पर पहुंच गए और हमें ऐसा भाव सब कुछ फील हो रहा है। तो अगर हम ऐसा कर भी रहे हैं, सिग्निफाइड डिवोटी ऐसा कर रहे हैं, तो शायद गॉड विल निग्लेक्ट अस इन द स्टार्टिंग, मतलब वो हमें देख लेंगे क्योंकि वी हैव द प्योर इंटेंशन टू गेट स्पिरिचुअली uplifted as soon as possible. But still we have to choose very carefully कि मतलब हाँ हम स्टेप बाय स्टेप ही जा रहे हैं, वी डू नॉट स्किपिंग एनी स्टेप्स, बिकॉज फर्स्ट स्टेप इज कि हमें श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए, फिर दूसरा स्टेप यही है कि हमें साधु संग करना ही पड़ेगा। सीधा हमारा अनर्थ निवृत्ति नहीं हो, मतलब हमारे अनर्थ सारे नहीं चले जाएंगे अगर हमने कृष्णा को सर्व कर लिया, क्योंकि वो फिर हम फॉल्सली अपने आप को सेटिस्फाई कर रहे हैं कि ऐसा सब कुछ हो रहा है, मेरे पाप खत्म हो रहे हैं। नहीं, ऐसा पॉसिबल नहीं है। अगर आपको निष्ठा है भगवान में तो यू हैव टू टेक एसोसिएशन। तो देयर इज अ स्टेप which is given by our acharyas, so I have to follow proper. Maybe this could be one angle to see this कि हमारा भाव होना चाहिए सही, और मतलब बाकी चीजें निग्लेक्ट की जाती हैं बट ऑन अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट। बट अगर यही रहा तो फिर मुश्किल हो जाएगा अगर हम ये लंबे टाइम तक रखेंगे कि वी आर इमिटेटिंग।
बिल्कुल।
तो एक वो था, और एक और कल ऐसे ही मतलब अभी पढ़ रहा था मैं इसमें कि पीपल आर नॉट, मतलब प्रभुपाद कितना हार्ड, मतलब कितना मुश्किल से, मतलब ही इज गिविंग लॉट ऑफ टाइम एंड राइटिंग्स टू जस्ट मेक अस अंडरस्टैंड दैट हाउ गॉड इज सुप्रीम। कल वही पढ़ रहा था कि मतलब उसमें एक लाइन आई थी बहुत अच्छी लगी थी, बस वो शेयर करूंगा मैं। वो ये था कि अगर मतलब if people want to get materially successful or spiritually successful, what they require to do is simply is to follow the will of the God. मतलब अब ये स्टेटमेंट बहुत सिंपल है, बट इट्स वेरी, मतलब जो प्रभुपाद ने जिस टाइम में वहां पर लिखा था एनालॉजी से, वो बहुत अच्छा लगा कि जो भगवान की विल फॉलो करते हैं दे आउटशाइन ऑटोमेटिकली, मतलब उन्होंने कोई मतलब एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, जस्ट टू फॉलो द विल ऑफ द गॉड। मतलब अगर हम सिर्फ भगवान की सुने तो हमें मतलब कुछ एक्स्ट्रा करने की, इतना हार्ड वर्क करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, बस हमें सिर्फ सुनना है भगवान के विल को। जैसे एग्जांपल देते हैं उसमें कि भगवान को अर्जुन ने सुना तो ही आउटशाइन, कि मतलब एज अ डिवोटी ही इज द प्योरेस्ट डिवोटी, ही आउटशाइन। और भी बहुत बड़े बड़े एग्जांपल देते हैं, युधिष्ठिर महाराज का देते हैं, और बहुत सारे लोगों का एग्जांपल देते हैं। तो बात इतनी सिंपल थी बट येट सो डीप कि बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है कवर करना, कि हम प्रभुपाद इतना ट्राई कर रहे हैं फिर भी हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि गॉड को सरेंडर करना है, एंड दैट इज वेरी टफ। बस यही बोल रहा था।
ये बिल्कुल ये बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने, क्योंकि जब हम गुरु परंपरा देखेंगे या फिर अपनी गोस्वामीज या फिर जो भी जो मतलब पास्ट टाइम्स हैं भक्तों के, तो मतलब वो ही ज्यादा फेमस हुए जो मतलब जिन्होंने अकॉर्डिंग टू द विल ऑफ द गॉड काम करा, या फिर वो उस प्रोसेस पे थे जो भगवान की इच्छा अनुसार था। तो अब वो हिस्ट्री उठा के हम किसी को भी उठा के देख लें, चाहे इधर लंका से विभीषण हो, है ना, रामायण के टाइम पे, चाहे महाभारत के टाइम पे कोई हुआ, तो वो लोग सब जो भी भगवान के फेवर में थे, भगवान के फेवर का मतलब ये नहीं है कि जो पार्शियल थे भगवान के लिए, लेकिन एज पर द विल ऑफ द गॉड, क्योंकि जो जो सही धर्म है, जो सही राह है, तो वो तो वही बता सकता है ना जिसने सब कुछ क्रिएट करा है। तो अगर मतलब उससे ज्यादा परफेक्शन क्या होगा, मतलब तो अगर हम उसे फॉलो करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली वी विल स्टैंड आउट इन भक्ति प्रोसेस। यस। और वो मिस्टेक्स ऊपर मैं भी थोड़ा सा मतलब एक ये भी है कि हो सकता है मैं गलत हूँ तो मुझे सही करिएगा, कि मतलब अपराध और पाप में डिफरेंस होता है ना। तो अगर अपराध ज्यादा बड़े होते हैं तो पाप क्या होता है, कि पाप क्या है कि वी आर इग्नोरेंट और वी आर एट इनिशियल स्टेज, तो हमें नहीं पता कुछ चीजों के बारे में, लेकिन हम स्पिरिचुअल एक्टिविटीज प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, तो वो है पाप। लेकिन अगर हमें पता है इसके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या है या फिर किस हद तक गलत है, और हम रियलाइज भी कर चुके हैं गलत है, लेकिन स्टिल वी आर डूइंग द सेम थिंग, तो वो फिर अपराध हो जाते हैं। तो उसका पश्चाताप ज्यादा बड़ा हो जाता है अगर हम करते भी हैं तो यस, भक्ति में मतलब बढ़ते बढ़ते ग्रेजुअली वी नीड टू टेक केयर ऑफ दीज थिंग्स, कि हमसे अपराध ना हो। सबसे बड़ा अपराध वैष्णव अपराध होता है, तो we should take care of that. Anyone wants to add?
तो प्रभु जी बस एक पॉइंट भी उसमें भी तो हम लोग रीड कर रहे थे कि हम लोग को लगता है कि कोई मतलब मायावादी को ये लगता है कि भगवान हमारी तरह ही है, मतलब वो इम्पर्सनलिस्ट है कोई, मतलब एक ह्यूमन बीइंग होगी, कैसे कोई भगवान दुनिया चला सकता है। हम तो नहीं मानते कि भगवान है या नहीं, तो भगवान सबसे परे है, सबसे ऊपर है, तो वो चीज हम सबको एक्सेप्ट कर लेनी चाहिए, तभी हम लोग स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी में आगे बढ़ सकते हैं।
हाँ, मतलब अगर if we are not impersonalist then how the God could be? अगर हमारा फॉर्म है, हमारा शेप है, तो फिर जिससे हम निकले हैं वो कैसे शेपलेस हो सकता है? तो उसे कंडेम करें कि पर्सनलिस्ट मायावादी को, उनकी फिलॉसफी को।
हाँ जी।
वो प्यार से उन्हें रास्कल कहते हैं इसलिए प्रभुपाद।
यस।
हाँ, मतलब प्रभुपाद कह सकते हैं, हमें नहीं कहना चाहिए।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
Yeah, anyone? Tanak, you want to add something? Tanak, you want to add something? Okay. ठीक है, फिर we can stop, और कल सुबह 6 बजे मिलते हैं। There will be special class, so everyone
Yes,
please
Prabhu ji.
please. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Panchakalpatu
Hare Krishna.
पंचकल्पतरु गच्छन्ति पद्मनाभं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जगद्गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you for joining everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.